Several years ago, when my sons were still fairly young and exhausting, I went back home to Minnesota to visit my parents. I went alone and was able to enjoy some uninterrupted time with them. I took advantage of this kid-free visit to get my hair dyed, and my mom took advantage of our time together and came along for the ride. She pulled up a chair next to me as her longtime stylist and friend began to color my hair. Her stylist is a very sweet woman, and we compared notes about raising boys. As the three of us were chatting, the subject of my chance encounter many years ago with Maya Angelou came up. I quickly realized that her stylist had no idea who Maya Angelou was. I didn't think it was worth telling my whole story to a woman who obviously had no idea who I was talking about. My mom, however, kept pushing me. I tried to brush it off. Never mind, Mom, it's no big deal. But Mom kept trying. You know, she's a famous African-American poet. She read one of her poems for Clinton's inauguration. When she was still getting zero recognition, Mom got desperate. She did what any self-respecting suburban white lady would do when she's trying to relate to another suburban white lady. She brought up Oprah. She's like Oprah's second mother? Crickets. The woman was sweet and listened, but I could tell that she still had absolutely no clue who we were talking about. Again, I tried to drop it. Mom was having none of it. Tell her, Steph. Tell her how you got her autograph. Tell her how you talked with her, she prodded. And this is when I felt my inner teenager start to kick in. Isn't it amazing how mothers can do that? Just one push too far, and my first instinct is to shut down, roll my eyes, and distance myself. I wanted to shy away from her like I used to when I would hang back a step or two at the mall. I was instantly transported back to the days when she would make me tap dance for my relatives. Now, that might sound like a metaphor, but it's not. I mean it literally. I was a tap dancer for 9 years, and she would always beg me to put my shoes on and dance when she had friends or relatives over. She would bounce along to the music with a huge smile on her face. I always performed for her, but the older I got, the weirder it felt. By the time I was in my early tweens, my shoulders would slump and my eyes would remain fixed on the ceiling as I tapped around the tile floor in our kitchen, avoiding even a glance at whatever visitor was watching. And I had the same wash of embarrassment now, but something had changed. There was a new crack in my veneer. I suddenly understood how she felt. I realized that becoming a mother has pulled back the curtain on some of the behaviors that used to mortify me. I understand wanting to show your kids off. I'm her investment. And now I know what it feels like to pour thousands of hours of time and attention into a little vessel and just hope that it will pay off. I also now realize that she is just proud of me. It's fun to have other people see what you've done with your life. She spent years trying to mold us into functioning human beings, and now she can sit back and let others enjoy her work. Only as a parent myself have I begun to understand what that truly means. My, oh my, empathy can do wonders for a bad attitude. So I looked over at my mom as I sat in that stylist chair, and my embarrassment turned to understanding. I saw her prodding me, and I made up my mind. I decided to tap dance for my mom. And spoiler alert, this time it is a metaphor. Instead of pulling back, I jumped into my story with both feet. I told the whole thing in long form. I carefully described my favorite part about how Dr. Angelou's voice sounds like a lioness in real life, just like on TV, imitating her as best I could. I spared no detail. I even told the stylist how the poem that she pulled out of her purse and signed for me will be handed down to my boys someday, and I hope that they will cherish it as much as I have. My mom beamed. She nodded as I did my lioness line that she's heard several times before. It was the same smile that I used to see as she nodded along to my tap routines in the kitchen. But this time, I wasn't 12, and I wasn't embarrassed. The bonds of motherhood have given me the grace of understanding. And this time, I bet you my smile was as wide as hers. Thank you.